Hi guys, so I just wanted to make a quick video about creating a trading plan and the benefits surrounding this. Now, I found that my trading was absolutely all over the place until I created a trading plan. And the reason for that is because now I've got a really good roadmap to follow, but also it really helps in terms of mindset. And I'll explain why as I go through this process. So the first thing that you want to do is come on over to a compound calculator. So the one I use is Compound Daily, and basically what you want to do is to put in your initial deposit. So that might be $1,000 or £1,000. Actually, even though it says dollars here, the growth would be relevant to it. So if you put £1,000 in here, whatever the growth is by the end of the year would be the same in pound equivalent or any other currency. Now, the daily interest rate that I'm going to put in here is 1%. So basically, if you grow your account by 1% a day, which if you're kind of trading with a really small stop loss, effectively works out at gaining around about 5 pips a day, then that is going to give you a really good goal to get every day. Now, obviously, there's going to be days where you do way more than that. You're going to have losing days. That's the nature of trading. However, by setting it at this, it's a realistic target. It means that you've got a chance of staying on track. What we then do is length of the term in days. Now, you always want to put 261 in here, because what happens is if you put 365 on here and then say no, don't include weekends, it actually takes you up to kind of a year and a half's time instead of a year's time. So I want to know where I'm going to be at the next year mark. So the daily reinvest rate is 100% because we're doing a compound plan here. So what we do is click calculate now. So what you can see is that over the course of a year, $1,000 or £1,000 would turn into $13,423.94 or £13,423. So what we're going to do is we're going to head on over to a spreadsheet. Now, I use Google Drive for my spreadsheets, and all I do is, first of all, I write the numbers in here. So I'll put trade plan and I'll put 1,000 to 13,423.94. And I just call it that in the title. So that helps me kind of know what the start and end of this plan is. What I'll then do is I'll come down here and I will literally copy the whole table. So I'm literally going to highlight the whole thing. And I'm going to right click on the highlighted, click copy. I'm going to go back on over to my spreadsheet and I'm going to paste the table into there. Now, it takes a little while to load because there's a lot of information going in there. So I'll just pause the video while it does that. So as you can see, I now have the table from Compound Daily in here. So I delete the day column, I don't need it. I'll leave the date because I do need those. And I'll leave the earnings because I do need those. And I'll delete the reinvest, I don't need that. I'll also delete the principal cash out because I'm just compounding, I'm not removing any cash at all. And keep the total principal, and then I'll delete the total cash. Now, what I will do is add on another column in here. So I'm just going to extend this one a bit, and I'm going to call this column notes. So I'll just make that bold. I will try and put the same color in. It's probably not going to be the same color at all. So I would delete Sunday. This will start from the day after you do it. So for example, if you are going through this process on a Monday, you'll find that your plan starts from the day after, which would be the Tuesday. So sometimes you'll need to, if you're starting it over a weekend, for example, you can't trade until Monday. So sometimes you will need to delete the initial kind of Sunday or etc. So what I now have here is a list of what I'm going to make every day, hopefully, and then the very end date that I'm going to achieve this trade plan goal. So we can see that the end date here is the 13th of January, and that will take me up to the end of the plan. So what I'm going to do is when I finish trading every day, I'm going to update this. So let's say on Monday the 14th of January, I have a really good day and I make $25. So that takes my balance up to 1,025. What I would do is I would mark Monday the 14th in a pale green so that I know that it was a winning day. I would then come down to this column, and every day that I have hit the goal of, I will actually put it in a bright green. So I know that I'm up to 1,025. So I can literally put that in there. So I actually can see now that I'm already a day ahead of schedule. So that's just like a nice little visual representation so you can see how far ahead of schedule you are. I continue to do that every day. If I have a losing day one day, so let's say that I kind of get down to Monday here and I have a losing day, I would mark that in a pale red. And then what I would do is if kind of I was down to here in these greens, so let's say that I'd traded for the first week and I got all the way down to here in the greens. Let me just mark all these off as green. And then all of a sudden I have a losing day and it took some days off my balance. What I'll do is I'll mark the days in orange so I can see where the highest point I've been up to is, but I can also see kind of where I'm at now, so I can quickly take a glance at this and know, okay, I'm on this date now and I'm up to here, so I'm like 4 days ahead of schedule. So that really kind of helps me just take a quick look visually at where I am. So when it comes to the end of a trading week, what I would do is I would come to the Saturday and I would type in here week summary. I then delete the Sunday row because I don't need it. So I do that as I go through. So let's say by the end of my first week of trading, all of these days were green and I was kind of up on my account by, let's say, I don't know, $55. So I'm actually up to here with the greens. So I've just removed all of the other colours here. So what I would then do is do a week summary in here. So I would do week gain and I would work out the percentage of the week gain I had. So if I was up to 1,055, it means my gain over the week was $55. I could either write $55 or what I could do is work out the percentage gain and write percentage gain, which is what I usually do. I then have total gain. So from the start of the plan to the end of that week, where am I? I put my total gain in there. What I then do is put the weekend balance, and this would be where you put your kind of 1,055 in there. Now the reason I do that is because it makes it easier when I come to work out the following week's gain if I've got the weekend balance there. And I'll mark that again in the green because it was a winning week. If it was a losing week, I would mark it in the red. Now the reason that I do this is because if I have a losing day, and normally what would happen is if your mindset's not right, it would kind of throw you off course a little bit. And so what happens is now if I have a losing day, I'm so ahead of schedule on this plan that if I have to mark a couple of days off as orange, it doesn't matter. I can still see that I'm like weeks ahead of schedule or whatever. At the moment, I'm actually more than a year ahead of schedule. So what I've done is on my first year sheet, which was here, I actually reached the end goal after around about 3 months. So what I did was I put a little note in here when I reached it, that I reached that goal ahead of schedule. I then went to Compound Daily again, opened another sheet down here by clicking the plus, opened another sheet and did this again for year 2. So effectively, I'm starting my year 2 quite a few months early, but I've got a compound plan to follow all the time that keeps me in the right head game, if you like. It keeps you kind of straight, because what happens is you're not kind of getting that sort of over emotional thing if you have a losing day that you've kind of ruined it and you've kind of took yourself off course. So that's what I do in terms of my trade plan, and I find that really helps. So what I do for the key, bright green is a winning week. I do a pale green for a winning day. I do a bright red for a losing week. I do a pale red for a losing day. And then for my previous high, I do an orange. So the example of that would be if I'd kind of made it down to here and these were all green even though I was only on this date, and then on Wednesday the 16th of January I had a losing day, that would take kind of the profit off here, and that would take, these would be orange. So I knew that previously I'd been at this point here, right now I'm at that point there. And so that really does help me keep my mindset in check. And actually by having a really clear cut plan to follow, it really helps with your trading, because you can see kind of exactly where you're going. And to give you an idea, what you can do is if you want to sort of do a bit of dream building and find out where you can be in a couple of years, if you take that initial end figure and just copy that and then put that into the compound calculator to give you an idea where you'll be at the end of year 2. Give that a second to calculate, and what you can see is at the end of the year 2 you would have over 178,000. If you then put that in there, and bear in mind you may achieve this much sooner than kind of the end of year 1, the end of year 2. But if we put that in there again at the end of year 3, this particular calculator won't actually let you go over 100,000. So instead what we'll do is put 100,000 in there, know that we're going to have much more than this. But just to give you an idea, at the end of the year 3, if you were starting with $100,000 account, you would have 1.3 million at the end of year 3. Now, bear in mind, if you were to follow this plan from 1,000 at the start of year 3, you'd be starting with more than 100,000. You'd be starting with 178,000. So that gives you an idea of some of the numbers that you would be getting in here. So actually, it's a great way to make sure you keep your mindset in check, that you've got a plan moving forward. And that's definitely something that I kind of make a habit of doing at the end of every trading day. It lets me know kind of what my growth is every week, where I'm standing kind of on my long-term goals. So it's really important, I think, in terms of your trading. So I hope that's been helpful. Again, any questions, just give me a shout and I'll speak to you soon.